What's up and welcome back to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Friday, November 4th, 2022. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes and I'm joined by the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Tim, we are T-minus 4 days from the release of the most anticipated game of the year, Sonic Frontiers.
Baby.
Tim, how you feeling, man?
Oh, I gotta go fast.
We're almost there. You gotta go fast.
I cannot wait to play this game, Bless. We are so close to me getting my hands on the controller, being able to play as the blue blur once again.
The blue blur. Let me tell you, I watched that Knuckles Sonic Frontiers prologue video that they put out. Oh my God, I got chills watching that thing, dude.
It is chill-inducing for sure. The quality of animation is awesome. I love the Sonic team and Sega have been doing a great job with having fun with their YouTube channels with the animation stuff. Like they're actually pouring budget into making really, really, really cool shorts. They started doing it with Sonic Mania a couple of years ago and put out multiple series at this point, little mini series, and all of those things are really, really, really dope.
It was just a good reminder that Knuckles is that guy. You know, you can't fuck with Knuckles because Knuckles fucks back, Tim. Knuckles does not play around. Yeah.
Bless it.
Am I wrong?
No.
Am I wrong?
You're
Look
not
at this guy.
allowed to say that.
Knuckles fucks back.
Yeah, he does. It's right, Tim. He's right.
It's on the back of the box.
Oh.
It's on the back of the box. Also, speaking of boxes, I got this.
God.
I got this Sonic Frontiers.
What a no!
This
We
Red
need
Bull.
to restart this episode.
I got this Red Bull box. This is gifted by the one and only Imran the Don Khan. He went to TGS, and over there they had a bunch of Sonic Frontiers merch promoting the game. And Imran was like, I don't want this shit. And so he kept a bunch of it to give to me. And let me tell you, man, I was expecting to open this thing and like have like a really cool like Sonic the Hedgehog can of Red Bull. No, it's just some Red Bull.
It's just two Red Bulls.
It's just two Red Bulls up in this bitch. And so, Tim, on this...
That's the most Sega merch right there, you know?
Oh, my Lord.
On this Friday before Sonic Frontiers, I want to split with you a Red Bull.
Oh, dude. Let's do it. Let's do
you
it.
go.
Thank
There you
you. Thank you very much.
Happy Friday before
Happy
Frontiers.
Friday.
Happy Frontiers Friday.
Cheers.
God.
Oh, well
Tim
let's get that ready. Here we go. To Sonic. And to Knuckles fucking back. Today's stories include a God of War review roundup, a bunch of Hideo Kojima headlines, and more. Because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We run you through the nerdy news that you need to know about. If you're not watching live, or if you are watching live, you can watch... I messed all that up.
I respect you reading it this time.
No, that's my problem.
Because usually you freestyle.
And I should have freestyled. You know what I mean? I got caught up in my head. Let me tell you. Let's rewind just a second. All right,
was it the part where I said Knuckles fucks back? Is that what fucked you up?
Yeah, honestly, that got me a little shook. Then
fair.
You gave me the Red Bull. Then I had a moment of panic. I'm like, am I really about to drink a Red Bull and this Trenta iced coffee? Because that seems like too much. And I was like, do I mix them? This seems fucking weird. But you already gave it to me. Then I felt the peer pressure, so I opened it. And then we cheers. And then I didn't take a sip. And then I was in my head about it, so I started reading. I'm all flustered, guys. I'm all
Friday,
flustered.
so we got that energy.
Take that again after I take my sip. Hold on.
He's taking the sip. Oh, yeah.
And now
mix that coffee and Red Bull, Tim.
Woo, baby.
Oh, let me get some.
So here's what we're talking about. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get things wrong by going to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. But if you're not watching live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames or on podcast services around the globe. If you search for the Kinda Funny Games cast, you can listen to us. Remember,
Kinda Funny Games Daily. Gamescast is a different podcast.
You know what,
Tim.
y'all?
You got this, Tim.
You know what? It's okay. It's Friday. I'm having fun. At first, I liked the taste of Red Bull and coffee. Now, not so much. You know, the aftertaste, it's getting to me. But whatever. There's Epic Creator Codes. You can use it. It's kind of funny. You can go there, use the code. It gets us money. You don't need to spend extra money anytime you're buying anything on the Epic Games Store. So thank you very much for that. You can also go to patreon.com/kindafunny. That'll get you the show ad-free, plus a bevy of bonus content, a whole bunch of super cool exclusive shows that you can get over there. Some housekeeping for you. A new PS I Love You XOXO is up right now, and it's a God of War Ragnarok FAQ. That's over on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the globe. If you want more God of War, guess what? you are in the right place because Barrett's God of War special presentation is out now. You can join him as he looks back at Kratos' entire journey so far to answer the question, can Kratos be better? So you can watch that and get hyped. And then you can watch our God of War Ragnarok review that is also live. So you can check that out as well. Thank you to all of our Patreon producers for helping make this all happen. Morgan Lorraine, Fargo Brady, Christopher Rodriguez, the Kind of Funny Destiny 2 PC Clan, Tall Tree 81, Joseph A. Carlson, One Up Pest Control, Carrie Palmer, Elliot, Brian Cheney, Trevor Starkey, and more, but I'll get to those later. Today we're brought to you by Wondery, Rocket Money, and Chime. But first, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We have 7 stories today.
A baker's dozen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Story number 1, God of War Ragnarok review roundup. Very excited to talk about
Very
this.
excited.
Very excited to talk about this game for a long time to come.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's one of those special moments. I'm happy to have that moment with you in person. It feels different having being able to record the next big game review with everyone together with the excitement. Like, what was that like?
That was amazing, right? And I love that we got to start that off with God of War Ragnarok, you know, one of the biggest game releases of the year, right? It kind of feels like this cool culmination moment of, all right, the biggest game, we now got the bigger studio, right? We get to actually share this moment together. And let me tell you, the review we did yesterday was one of my favorite reviews that we've ever done.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I had a great time, and I hope to continue that with the spoiler cast that we're going to be doing in a couple weeks as well. But before we get to that stuff, right now, God of War Ragnarok is sitting at a 94 on both Metacritic and OpenCritic. That is extremely, extremely good. Simon Cardy at IGN gave it a 10 out of 10, saying it's an enthralling spectacle to behold and an even more exciting one to take the reins of. God of War Ragnarok melds action and adventure together to create a new, unforgettable Norse saga. Impeccable writing, pitch-perfect performances, knockout action. It's a complete work of art from top to bottom. Reflecting its core themes, it's everything a sequel should be, respectful of its legendary lineage, but not afraid to take it to exciting new places. God of War Ragnarok's an almighty achievement and creates a new high that makes many of its peers look positively mortal by comparison. Could not agree more. Timur Hussein, the homie, gives it a 9 out of 10 for GameSpot.com. God of War Ragnarok is a lavish production with pristine visuals, jaw-dropping scale, crunchy combat that is as satisfying as it is brutal, and a world that begs to have its every corner and crevice explored. Hot. It's a spectacular blockbuster, but these are the least of its achievements. In a game where a hulking god rips all manner of creatures limb from limb, the most shocking moments aren't bathed in blood, but carried by poignant words and heartfelt emotions. They are a former God of War, known for mercilessly killing his kin, finding the words to empathize with loss. A despondent child imploring a father to break a self-destructive cycle, a moment of tenderness in the life of a boy that has the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Boy.
And then Greg Miller, you might know him from Kind of Funny, gave it a 5 out of 5. And we're going to check out the TikTok review right now.
God of War Ragnarok is a 5 out of 5 amazing game. But for me, the real news is something I never would have predicted when playing God of War in 2005. Kratos is, hands down, the best character in video games. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything about his and Atreus' journey here, but after rolling credits 26 hours in, and that's pretty much ignoring side quests, there's no denying that God of War Ragnarok is an instant classic when it comes to gameplay, story, music, graphics, and every other category you could ask me to name. Somehow, Sony Santa Monica has taken everything I loved about God of War 2018 and kept it familiar while expanding on it. We return to locations, but they've changed. We reunite with old friends and enemies, but they've evolved. We hack and slash through all manner of enemies, but it never gets boring. We play as a god who used to be the most one-note character in games, but now I find myself hanging on to his every word and action. My PS5 is packed with cutscenes I captured because they were so epic, and my phone's notes are crammed with quotes I jotted down because they're so poignant. With all the pressure in the world to follow up God of War 2018, Sony Santa Monica somehow did it and delivered another masterpiece.
Tim, I got a few questions for you.
Really quick, I just want the music that they use for that review just fucking goes so hard, man.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And also,
So good.
Greg's hair in that. Oh my
Great.
God.
And also shout out to the editing. Shout out to Roger Recording and the editing team. Absolutely killed that.
Crushing everything.
Based off that review roundup, I got a few questions for you. Starting
for it.
off with Greg's TikTok review.
Yes.
You know, Greg's not here. He can't hurt us. He's outside. Like
Yeah, he is here.
He's
I want
here in
you-
the
he
office,
can't hurt us.
but he's not at this table, right?
I mean, he could hear you out there, and you might just be summoning him. Who knows?
Listen,
My Lord, don't say his name 3 times.
He's not-
Please, bless.
he's not gonna hurt us, right? He's not gonna come out here and try and like start shit, right? Because I'm sure he's not listening. He starts off his review saying Kratos is hands down the best character in gaming.
Yeah.
Tim, do you agree?
I mean, I said this at the end of the Gamescast that took me by surprise when he said that. And my gut reaction is the same type of gut reaction that we have when you're a fan of something, where you have this weird tribalistic view of it when you like it and you just want to defend it and you want to be like, no, I have an opinion and that's more right than your opinion. Okay, bless. And him saying that, my gut reaction was, no, you're a fucking idiot and you must be wrong. But then I sat with it for a second. I'm like, I don't know why that was my first reaction. I need to work that out. And then second, I was like, is he wrong? Is he right? I don't know that I agree. I don't know that off the top, I'm like, yes, Greg is right about that. But I also am not so sure that he's wrong because I can't think of somebody that I'd put above it.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting view of it, right? Like thinking of who, okay, what character, if it's not Kratos, who? And I guess for me, a few characters do come to mind. I immediately jumped to Metal Gear just because I'm a big Metal Gear fan, right? Where I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking love Big Boss as a character, right? I think Big Boss, I personally would put up against Kratos, right? But like, as I go down the line of characters that come to mind, I'm trying to think of how much of it is apples and oranges of, well, the reason why I probably put Big Boss is just because Big Boss is in a different setting with a different just style of writing with much more dialogue, right?
Yeah.
The places that Metal Gear goes is way different from the places God of War goes, right? And I think we're going to get into more of that conversation as we compare games to games because people love comparison. But when Greg said it, I'm immediately like, oh, I don't know if I agree. I will say, one, I don't question it in terms of opinion, right? Like I do think it's a very valid opinion, right? I understand how you get there.
yeah.
I understand why somebody would go, oh, Kratos is the best character in gaming, hands down, right? So I respect where that opinion comes from. I also would say that even if the writing of all the God of War games, but including God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, don't take it up there for me in terms of me immediately going Kratos is the best character of all time. I will say, I think Kratos in video games is one of the best performed characters.
Oh,
God of
yeah.
War Ragnarok takes his performance above and beyond in a way where I'm like, yo, Christopher Judge did the damn thing in that game.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, and Kratos is cool, and they took the cool factor that he's always had and kept it, but then also made it mature and like interesting and added so much depth to the entire thing. So like I definitely think most improved character, that's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Like I don't think we've ever seen this type of a glow up in terms of character in video games. But yeah, I mean Kratos definitely up there for best. When it comes to characters that come to mind for me of like who would even be in the conversation, you say Big Boss, I'm more on the Solid Snake side. I've always been more of a Solid Snake fan. And I do think it's interesting that a lot of the characters we're naming are in the more narrative focused games where like there is a lot, like the best character in games has a lot to do with the character and their growth and less necessarily with the gameplay of what they do. But I think that the gameplay boosts Kratos as well because it's cool and fun to play as him, whereas like with Snake it's a little bit different. Like the weapons and stuff I associate with Kratos as part of him, you know?
Yeah, and I guess, when we get into the apples and oranges conversation of it, right? Like when you're talking about best characters in gaming, Mario comes to mind, right? And of course, Mario comes to mind for a completely different reason, but the reason of gameplay, right? Where you think of Mario and you think of all the different iterations of games he's been in, and it's like, yo, this is a character that's been with us for a long time, right? This is a character that, helped save gaming at one point when you're talking about the original Super Mario Brothers and the NES, right? This is a character that has been in, again, so many different iterations that you're talking about Mario Kart, you're talking about Smash, you're talking about 2D, 3D Mario, you're talking about the iconography of it. You're talking about the Mickey Mouse effect of just being a recognizable character and a famous character, right? But then you're not really talking about the character development the way that with Kratos, you're talking about some of the best character development, I'd say, in video games, right? And I think this might be a Gamescast conversation of who are the best characters? What is our video game Mount Rushmore?
I kind of want to do that, and I also want to do just like who are our favorite characters? Like actually, like if we were to each pick people, like that doesn't need to be the best, but just like random characters that like we relate to, that resonate with us, whatever it is, because like that's a good call.
My other question goes back to the Metacritic. Are you surprised by the 94 Metacritic and OpenCritic?
No, it's a tough thing to talk about, being surprised with review scores for a game this big. with God of War, where it's kind of like there are so many lofty expectations for good reason, because PlayStation has taught us to expect a certain things from their first party studios, right? Sony Santa Monica, the last game they put out was God of War, which was one of the highest rated games of all time, one of our highest rated games of all time. So the expectation is, it's at least going to be as good as one of the best games of all time. That is wild, right? So it really comes down to, did they do it or not? And they did. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not surprised, because there weren't too many options, and there weren't too many in-betweens on where this was going to fall. Like, I think that there was enough being put into God of War Ragnarok from a budget perspective, from a talent perspective, that we know across so many different fields, that there was no way that God of War was going to get anything less than a 8.5, And I think that that's because, not just because reviewers would never give that anything lower. It's because when there's that much positive resources being put into something, the base level expectation is going to be met.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about video game reviews, especially, you're talking about, reviewing video games is very fun and very interesting, because video games are such a unique medium when you're talking about all that goes into them, right? When you're talking about all the budget all the time, when you're talking about video games being a creative medium in terms of storytelling and cinematic presentation, but also in terms of game design, and is a video game fun, but also in terms of tech, and does this run well, and does it look good, and also in terms of art style, and does it present well, right? It's such a mixture of so many things, and I think God of War Ragnarok and Sony Santa Monica are such a good, perfect storm of, this is a developer that has the resources. This is a developer that is PlayStation first party, and they're at the top tier of PlayStation first party, so they're going to get the support. They're going to get the resources. They're going to get the time and the budget that they need, but also, they're a developer that I think has really good talent in terms of, hey, we know how to tell a story. We know how to, tell a story that's not even just a good story, but it's a story that pushes our characters. It's a story that feels like it is taking the next step in terms of what our big budget third person action games can be, right? Like, they got that on lock. And then also their gameplay is really good, right? They know how to make a game that's fun. They know how to make a game that has very solid mechanics. They know how to make a game that's polished. And on one hand, there's no way that God of War and we say this about games all the time with like Cyberpunk and all this shit, right? But I really do think that with God of War, there's no way that, to your point, there's no way that God of War Ragnarok is going to come out and be a 7 or be an 8.
Yeah,
right.
And again, no way to go back to the question of, would it be surprising if it got a 7? It would be surprising.
Yes. And I think that the thing that does impress me is the fact that when we're talking about the 94 on Metacritic, you're also talking about Barrett. Correct me, because you were talking about this yesterday. God of War 2018 got a 94 on Metacritic as well.
It was 94 on Metacritic with 118 reviews, and at one point I checked yesterday, Ragnarok was also a 94 with 116 reviews.
Yeah.
So even like just number wise, because we talk about like how the industry evolves like over the years, and like more reviews come out and stuff like that. So I imagine maybe more reviews will roll in over the next couple weeks, and like
it might knock it down
a little bit. But when you look at the numbers and like how close the number of reviewers there are right now, and how exact that Metacritic score is, I just thought that was like really funny and really impressive, because we've been having that conversation on PS I Love You like the last month of like, is it going to get lower, is it going to get higher, and like as of right now it's the same. So
yeah. And that I think is incredibly impressive.
That's the thing that's impressive about me, and I guess not impressed about this, and not necessarily surprising, but just impressed with the fact that it's God of War Ragnarok's biggest villain is God of War 2018 when it came to expectations, and when it came to how are people going to receive this, right? Is it going to be a thing you pick up and it's like, cool, God of War 2018 is a 94 because it's a fantastic game, but also because it surprised us. We weren't expecting that. God of War Ragnarok, we were expecting that. And the fact that they came through and they met, and I think in probably a lot of cases, maybe exceeded expectations, that is what's very impressive about the 94 on Metacritic for me.
Yeah, and when it comes to a sequel of this scale, there's kind of like the pros and cons of it, right? Where there is the inert kind of expectation that it's going to be as good, around at least, the last one, and the last one was just really damn good. So there's already that bonus kind of jump off point, and there's the understanding of what the IP is. There's the inherent interest in it and excitement for it, and you want to like the thing. So there's all that going for it. But then there is the like, okay, but like, what did it do different? What did it do better? What did it do more of? All that stuff. And I feel like it's a higher it's a more uphill battle to like achieve that when there are those expectations. So it is kind of a push and pull. So for it to be where it's at is incredibly impressive. We've played the game. We know how incredibly impressive it is in relation to the first game or next to the first game. So can't wait for more people to play it. But we had some questions from the people out there. Bless.
We do.
Amiantos writes in and says, "Hey team, with God of War once again having exceptional reviews, oh yes, they did it again. I have a couple questions. The most obvious is, will this knock off the current Game of the Year favorite, Elden Ring, for 2022? And second question is Sony Santa Monica now the best narrative team in the business, overtaking Naughty Dog, who many up to now have considered as holding that crown?" Let's start with the second question.
Starting with the second question? Ooh, okay.
I can definitively say no. Because I think that there doesn't need to be a crown, and I think that with what Naughty Dog and Sony Santa Monica have done with their latest duologies, they have proven that they are both incredibly capable studios of producing absolutely moving stories to millions. And so it's like we should push both of them up. It's fun to compare them and stuff, but I think that there isn't a definitive, unanimous king.
Yeah, and that's the exact same place where I come at it from, which is there are so many different types of video game narratives that it's very tough for me to go, oh yeah, Sony Santa Monica with God of War have hit the peak. It's never been better than this in terms of video game narrative, because I don't think that's the case. I think in terms of specifically what they're doing as a PlayStation big budget third person action game narrative in this way, yeah, they're top tier, right? And I think if you're to tier it out, I would say yeah, Sony Santa Monica is at that top tier. But when I think about the video game narratives that I fall in love with, oftentimes they're more RPG narratives, right? Like oftentimes when I think of the narratives I love, Disco Elysium is one that I played recently where I was like, yo, this is fucking insane. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim is another one where I was like, yo, this is fucking fantastic. Persona 5 is another video game narrative where I'm like, yo, this is top tier. But I wouldn't compare Persona 5 to God of War Ragnarok because they're doing such different things. And I wouldn't say that one is better than the other in terms of top tier narrative. I think different kinds of narratives are going to speak to different people in different kind of ways. And even if you want to boil it down to Sony Santa Monica versus Naughty Dog, I'm personally more of a Naughty Dog person, but that is based on the kind of games they make and the kind of settings that they tackle. I usually don't gravitate that hard toward the fantasy mythological setting. Sony Santa Monica has done a great job of getting me into that through their interpretation of Norse mythology. But if I have to choose between post-apocalyptic or fantasy, I'm usually going post-apocalyptic, right? That's been true with me with Fallout versus Elder Scrolls. That's been true with me for, I guess here, right, with Last of Us, for example, versus God of War. But I think that is a taste thing. I think it is a to each their own thing, right? Plenty of people, I'm sure even Greg Miller, we'll have this conversation someday on PSW. I'm sure Greg would go God of War over Last of Us any day. I'm sure there's plenty of you guys out there that would go God of War over Last of Us any day. But I also think there's probably maybe an equivalent amount of people that would go the other way around as well.
I mean, I think it's equivalent. I think that's what's most interesting about this is like you bringing up the different settings and stuff. I feel like Last of Us is the very human story, whereas like God of War is more I'm dealing with gods and things, and you find the humanity in both of the elements of it. But I think that like inherently there's just a different type of grounding to Last of Us versus God of War with obvious reasons. But it reminds me a lot of things like Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier. Both are top tier. Both are lovely at what they do, and they do similar things. At the end of the day, they're both superhero movies that in the Marvel universe and all that, but it's like they are on equal footing to me, and I feel like it's a similar thing here with Naughty Dog and with Sony Santa Monica, because we're really right now just talking about God of War versus Last of Us, and it's like, cool, we can put those in a similar bucket. But even just the talent pool that they're dealing with and the way that they think about the games and make the games, like I feel like they are really firing on all cylinders equally.
1,000%. Now, to go to that number one part of the question, right? Most obvious, will this knock off the current Game of the Year favorite, Elden Ring, for 2022? This is the question that I've been avoiding like the plague. It was the one that during our review, right, we had up the chat, and so many people in chat were just talking about Elden Ring. And I'm like, for me, that's not necessarily the fun and interesting conversation to have, because I think the answer is the boring answer, which is it'll come down to taste. Like, they're very different video games, right? And like, you love it is in terms of what?
I think I love looking at the last couple of years of the Game of the Year conversation, and every year there's a different theme. Every year there's like that different kind of like, this isn't the best year. It's the year of the 9s, the year of the 8s, whatever it is. Or it's like, oh man, that clearly it's going to be this game, and then there's the runaway success. It's rare that we get these years where it's like, oh my God, there are multiple contenders. There's the Breath of the Wild, and there's the Mario Odyssey and Horizon, right? Yep. It's like that creates such fun, and I just love that it shows that games can be so damn successful in such different lanes. Comparing Elden Ring and God of War, sure, there are things that you can compare between the two of them, but I just love that one of the things that you can compare is just the level of sheer quality for the experience of the type of gameplay that they're doing. Elden Ring being this massive revolutionary RPG that kind of took a genre that has gained dominance in the last decade and pushed it further into the mainstream than it ever has, and they did it. They pulled it off. They did the damn thing.
Yep.
And then God of War Ragnarok, and everything we just said, being one of the best sequels of all time, taking one of the previous most revolutionary games and like big kind of put it on the podium moments for a franchise of like evolving what God of War can be. And then Ragnarok being like, yeah, we're going to do it again, and it kind of prove that we still got the stuff and are Sony specifically, like PlayStation Studios, are defining what a third-person narrative-driven linear type semi-open game can be. Those are two very different things, and they both crushed it.
Yeah.
There's going to be an awesome conversation to be had, because I think there's an immense value in both of those things, and I really think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to what people find more value in to give that Game of the Year title, as if it means anything, because at the end of the day, it's all just people's opinions about things.
Exactly. And like, when I say it comes down to taste, right, again, it comes down to what you're talking about in terms of what these games do. If you're somebody that, your kind of game is a blockbuster, linear, narrative-driven action game, guess what? God of War Ragnarok is probably going to be your Game of the Year. If you're somebody that is like, I want an action RPG with deep systems, with a wide world to explore that lets me play the way I want to, with different abilities they can equip that like really goes hand with the level design and the RPG mechanics and all that shit, guess what? Elden Ring is probably going to be your shit. If you ask me what my Game of the Year, and like, if you ask me what my Game of the Year is between like God of War and Ragnarok and Elden Ring, 10 times out of 10, I'm going to say Elden Ring, right? But like, if you ask Greg Miller, or I'm sure Tim Geddes, or like, I'm sure.
Well, I'm in an interesting place with it.
Oh, tell me.
Because, and it ends up not that interesting, but I think the journey there is pretty interesting. We're going into Ragnarok. I was very much like, Sifu is my Game of the Year, and I want to rock for Sifu. Like, I want to show up for that game because I absolutely loved it. It did something new for me. It introduced me to a genre that I don't traditionally play, and I was absolutely in, and I felt like I accomplished a lot beating that game and ending up platinuming that game. Like, that was a success story for me personally that I will always hold on to. And to me, it is my Game of the Year. Yeah. And going into Ragnarok, I'm like, I know I'm going to love this game. I'm expecting that it has a good chance for me to be a perfect like 5 out of 5. And I was like, but it's a sequel. It's going to have to do something really special for it to like get that Game of the Year title from me. So I was kind of actively like, I don't want to give it to it. Now that I played, I'm like, I still haven't made my final choice, but I'm like, I'm going to be shocked if it's not my Game of the Year. It's just so damn good.
I'm in a place where I want my feelings to settle, right? Because right now we're in the middle of the God of War Ragnarok hype, and I've been trying to, again, avoid the questions of like, where does this land on your Game of the Year? Is this the best Game of the Year? Is this better than Elden Ring? Like, in terms of the last question for me, no, I like Elden Ring better. I think Elden Ring is a better game. That said, right, then it gets into my top 5 list and top 5 conversation and what I value. Yeah. And I'm a gameplay over story person, right? I value fun. I value mechanics. I value that over narrative. Not to say that like there aren't narratives that'll come through and blow things out of the water for me, but usually I'm all about how addicted I am. How much am I like on the sticks and can't separate myself from that controller. And to that point, Sifu is maybe the most fun I've had in a video game this year, right? The most pure, the most raw fun I've had in a video game this year, right? How do I compare that mentally for me in terms of God of War Ragnarok having the best narrative that I've played this year? I think Game of the Year season is going to be interesting, especially whenever we do our Game of the Year. I mentioned January, right? Like, how does that stack up in terms of what my top 3, top 4 looks like? We'll have to see. I'm trying to calm down from it now. I'm not trying to make that stamp right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to move on to story number 2. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our sponsors. Just remember that you don't need to listen to these ads. If you go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like our Patreon producers, Super Daddy Kyle, Undertopian, David Mintel, Eric Velasquez, Scotty Wyatt, Alex Gradle, Al Tribesman, Jason L, James Davis Makes, the Nanobiologist, Ryan T from Tennessee, Derek Gehrig, and Donald Eccles. But for everyone else, here's some ads.
Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Do you know how much your subscriptions really cost? Well, most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, when the actual total is closer to more than $200. That's right, you could be wasting hundreds of dollars each month on subscriptions you don't even know about. There's this app Tim loves using that takes care of all of that for him. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Tim loves it, it's great, you should use it. Rocket Money can even find subscriptions you didn't even know you were still paying for. You may even find that you've been double charged for a subscription. To cancel a subscription, all you have to do is press cancel and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money now. Go to rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. Seriously, it could save you hundreds of dollars per year. Cancel your unnecessary subscriptions right now at rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. That's rocketmoney.com/kindafunny. Go deeper into the canals of Numenor, the mines of Khazad-dûm, and more with the official The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power podcast. Host Felicia Day and several special guests provide an inside look at the groundbreaking series and what it took to bring Middle-earth to life. Each episode of the official podcast features exclusive interviews with the series showrunners J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, including the very first full breakdown of the incredible season finale. Felicia goes behind the scenes with the cast and crew to bring you jaw-dropping stories and Easter eggs you won't want to miss. Watch The Rings of Power on Prime Video and listen to all 8 episodes of the official The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power podcast for free on Amazon Music. Download the Amazon Music app now. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Is it checking up on your credit score? Didn't think so. At Chime, that's exactly what they do. Their members see an increase of 30 points on average, with payday up to 2 days early and fee-free overdrafts up to $200. So start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and it doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/kfgames. That's chime.com/kfgames. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Stride Bank NA, pursuant to the license from Visa USA Chime checking account, and $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive effect on your credit score. Impact to your score may vary, and some user scores may not improve. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply except at MoneyPass ATMs in a 7-Eleven or any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. So, again, start your credit journey with Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes, doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/kfgames. That's chime.com/kfgames.
Kojima. We got a whole bunch of Kojima news.
Yeah, we do.
Let's get into story number 2. Footage of Hideo Kojima's unannounced Overdose has seemingly leaked. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. Footage of what appears to be a new horror game from Hideo Kojima has been published online. The footage, which was being widely circulated on social media, is seemingly the same gameplay that was first described in the Try Hard Guides report in June. It appears to feature Margaret Qualley, who starred in Kojima Productions' debut game, Death Stranding. It shows a character using a flashlight to navigate dark corridors from a third-person perspective. The video closes with a jump scare before displaying Game Over, followed by a Hideo Kojima game, and finally, Overdose. Following the publication of the report describing the footage earlier this year, it was claimed that Kojima Productions requested its removal, seemingly lending weight to the claims made in the story. Kojima's teased his next project ever since the release of Death Stranding in November 2019. That month, he suggested he was watching horror movies in preparation for a future project, and in April 2020, he said he'd like to make a revolutionary horror game one day. Oh, that is so exciting, Blessing.
Let's go.
This June, Kojima confirmed that he's working on a cloud-based project with Xbox. Quote, "There's a game I've always wanted to make. It's a completely new game, one that no one has ever experienced or seen before. I've waited very long for the day when I could finally start to create it. With Microsoft's cutting-edge technology, cloud technology, and the change in the industry's trend, it has now become possible to challenge myself to make this never-before-seen concept."
Tim, firstly, in our Game of the Year conversation in the last story, we neglected to mention Sonic Frontiers, all right? It's not going to matter once this game comes out. Everybody get hyped. We're T-minus 4 days away for Sonic Frontiers. It's going to make the Game of the Year conversation irrelevant. Let's hope.
Also, Kirby's not getting enough love. I just want to throw out the
oh yeah, Kirby.
Okay?
Shout out to Kirby.
Kirby,
but
the
also
forgotten
a
land.
little
People
pink boy.
forgetting about it.
Yeah, but honestly, it's like the last 3 hours of Kirby that's like game of the year
You're
contender
right.
for me.
You're right. And admittedly, is it in the same league as the games we're talking about? No, it's not. But I just want to give it some love. I want to give
Play
it some
Kirby,
love.
y'all. It's a great time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
To the story. Leaks like this are unfortunate.
Yeah.
Just because it ruins the surprise. It ruins like the rollout, right? And like obviously this team was working hard on this. That said, very excited for this game, right? It seems like we're getting the PT dream finally realized of Kojima getting to make the horror game that he's always been wanting to make. And him calling it revolutionary, I don't doubt it because it's Hideo Kojima and my guy's got the stuff. I'm looking forward to this. This sounds cool too, right?
Yeah.
It's talking about it being this third person horror game.
Not what I expect, right? Like after PT, you'd kind of expect, they're going to go down that first person route. Like with PT, it's really, really, really impressive to think about Kojima, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about him a lot, give him a lot of praise, give the team a lot of praise, all of that. But I've never thought of Kojima as a George Lucas type. Like this creator that has made worlds that are just beloved, that are so intricate and so deep and so creative that only could have came from that mind. And then it's kind of, you see where it kind of like goes from there. But all of that also being from a mind that's so infatuated with pushing tech forward. Where you look at Star Wars and like you look at ILM and you look at all the things, THX and all the different technologies that were created, simultaneously to create these movies and make this world real.
Yeah.
And you look at Kojima and the way that he's always kind of pushed the medium forward and the tech forward, and even with Death Stranding, like trying to use the connection here, he's trying to like push the cloud, like use cloud gaming in a way no one else has. Like it's just interesting the parallels between them. And then you look at PT, and it's pretty wild that we give Kojima so much credit for the storytelling in video games and like changing how adult video games can be. But then you look at PT and it's like, that game kind of changed the industry in so many ways. Like it's barely a month that goes by that PT doesn't come up in conversation, right? And it kind of created a new genre of survival horror.
Yeah, it was part of that wave of kind of funny. Comments are wrong. Did Outlast come out before PT or like in the same year as PT?
It was before.
Because I think PT helped usher in that type of horror game, right? Like this first person, atmospheric. All right, solve, like, what the fuck is this puzzle that I'm solving, right? Like, how do I get to this next thing? If I get too insane, I fucking die or whatever the fuck, right? Like, I think PT did help usher a lot of that in, and it was a big piece in that equation, right?
Yeah.
And like, PT personally is probably one of my favorite horror games ever, even though it's not a full game, right? I think as an experience, it is just so well mapped out, and also in its place of, hey, this is just a teaser for what we're actually working on. I think that was a step forward too, and it's sad that we didn't get that final thing, but it seems like we're gonna get a version of that final thing here. At least we're getting his vision of what he wants his horror game to be,
and I'm so interested in it being a third-person survival horror game from Kojima. I'm like, all right, like let's go, man. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about this. Then story number 3: Kojima has turned down acquisition offers. This comes from Michael Beckwith at Metro. On his most recent podcast, Kojima admits he's received multiple acquisition offers and refutes rumors of his canceled Stadia game. Given his close working relationships with Sony, there was speculation at one point the Hideo Kojima studio, Kojima Productions, would be next in line to be absorbed into the company. That didn't happen, though, with Kojima saying at the time that his studio will remain purely independent. More recently, he's not only reiterated this pledge, but he also revealed that he's had routinely received ridiculously high offers to sell his studio, all of which he's rejected. Kojima doesn't name any specific companies, but this does confirm that there are enough out there eager to bring Kojima and his team into their personal fold. No one is surprised at all. However, Kojima states that he wants to only make games he's interested in making, something he'd likely be unable to do if another company like Sony or Microsoft was calling the shots. Quote, "Let me reiterate that we are indies," he said on the latest episode of his Brain Structure podcast. "We have no affiliations whatsoever, and we're not backed by anyone. And every day, I'm approached by offers all over the world to buy our studio. Some of those offers are ridiculously high prices, but it's not that I want money. I want to make what I want to make. That's why I created this studio. So as long as I'm alive, I don't think I'll ever accept those offers."
awesome is that?
How
Hell yeah.
awesome is it that
Good
a
for
man
you.
as talented as Hideo Kojima made enough money to be in a position that he's like, I don't need money. I just want to do what I love.
God, and I love that, I love this as a news story for multiple reasons. One, Kojima getting a podcast is the best thing ever happened.
Oh, it's awesome. Have you listened, dude? It's awesome.
I got to catch up. I only listened to the first episode, but like from that first episode, it's fantastic. I love the TGA Jeff Keighley segment. It's great.
Great.
But the fact that like on this last episode, he was letting that thing sing. He was giving up all the good stuff, right? He was spitting that talk on that last episode of the podcast. According to these stories that we've gotten, good for him for being able to have an outlet where he can be open and give us answers and all that stuff. And I do like this answer, and I do like how we talk a lot about what the direction of Kojima Productions is. We talk a lot about acquisitions in the industry. Who's Microsoft or Sony going to buy? I like that we have a definitive answer from Kojima of him saying, as long as I'm alive, I don't think we'll ever accept those offers. Of course, things can change, people change, right? Like 5 years from now, Kojima Productions could get acquired, who knows? But the fact that he's like, I do not want to do this as long as I'm alive, I think that, gives us enough confidence to go, all right, cool, they're off the table, right? We don't have to speculate about this anymore. Kojima Productions is going to be indie, which is an exciting thing because Kojima Productions, Hideo Kojima specifically, has not had a great experience when it comes to being under big publishers. You go back to Konami in 2015 and the reports and rumors of the ways in which Konami was treating Kojima, and it's like, man, the version of Metal Gear Solid 5 we would have gotten if Kojima wasn't under Konami, or if Konami wasn't mistreating Kojima, right? That would have been such an excellent version of that game, right? If we could get Chapter 3. And so, I love the fact that he's like, yo, let me just make my own shit. You know, I got the clout because I'm Kojima. I got the partnership making ability because I'm Kojima. I'm going to make my own shit and make it mine and be creative with it. So good for you, Hideo.
Having said that, it is Hideo Kojima we're talking about. So at any moment, he can be like, oh, we're not acquired, but we have been Aqua Red. And it's different. We used to be independent, but now, you know what I mean? And
I know what you mean. Yeah, you just went into a Kodak call. I just had Metal Gear flashbacks.
No, but like jokes aside, this is awesome. I'm very excited for them to do this, and I love that we're at this new era where between Kojima and Sakurai with his YouTube channel, we're seeing creators, and even like. Clifford Blazinski putting out his book. It's like and being on more podcasts and stuff and just talking about like the behind the scenes like game development, right? And like kind of allowing them to have voices as personalities is so cool because it's a totally different side of the industry that we haven't heard from, and I think we're going to start to get a lot more of that. And I think it's really important that we hear from them because then we get more insight into like how these things work and like where certain companies are at and like what their plans are. It's cool stuff. And then blast, I don't know why you did this to me. You choose the news stories for the show. I understand we're in the Kojima rock block of stories.
It's so we can finally put a pin and end this once and for all, Tim. All right, we're at the end of the Kojima rock block.
All right,
give us story number 4.
Mark my freaking words. Give me the one, Barrett.
Give him the one.
This will be the last time. This will be the last
Don't do it, Tim.
time.
Don't say it, Tim.
You ever hear me read an abandoned story? I will not do it after this
He's
point.
abandoning abandoned.
This
you
is
heard
the
it here
end.
first.
I'm just saying, fast forward 3 weeks from now, and you're going to be reading an abandoned story.
I'm not going to read
everybody.
the abandoned story.
Avli, hi, how's it going?
Because Avali is going to read the abandoned story.
I'm reading an abandoned story.
You have to read the story, Avali.
you have to read
I've
the
never
story.
met you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hello. Oh, yes.
Hello.
I want to hug as well.
I just ran out here immediately. No, I'm good with squatting.
I was gonna give you a
take
hug,
this
but
is
yes.
oh.
Nice to meet you, Avli.
I love the studio
Listen,
so much.
I ran out here because I heard that you were maybe one of the only people in this building that has played Bayonetta 3, and I haven't found anyone to speak to about the game.
Oh my God.
Have you finished it?
No, I'm very early in it. I got distracted by multiple reviews, and so I was playing God of War. Will I make my way back to Bayonetta 3? Who knows? Because there's a lot of games coming out, obviously.
You have to play Bayonetta 3. The storyline itself, like, you know how Bayonetta games are. They're like 12 to 15 hours to complete. It's not that much. I did it in 2 days.
That's longer than I expected. I thought it was like 8 hours. It's only 12 to 15?
There are like 3.5 hours of pure cinematics.
We'll see.
Gotta play
We'll see.
Bayonetta 3. Okay, what am I reading?
You're reading
This news story
yeah.
right here.
All right, okay,
Thank
cool.
you so much.
Hideo Kojima has responded to the rumors and fan theories that he was involved in the development of Blue Box Game Studios' Abandoned, and that it was secretly the next entry in the Silent Hill franchise. Kojima has confirmed he has no involvement and calls rumors of any connection to Blue Box a nuisance. Well, this one I really didn't understand at first, Kojima said. Users just kept sending me pictures of this Hassan. They still send me collages and deepfake images, like 20 a day. It's really quite a nuisance. This has been going on for almost 2 years now. And Jeff, you remember when we did that Moby Dick thing? You were in on the whole thing, and that was pretty fun. But people should know that I wouldn't do the same thing twice. You want me to keep reading the whole thing?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Kojima was speaking to the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley, on his Spotify podcast Brain Structure, and discussed the situation that began when Abandoned was announced in April 2021 on PlayStation.blog. Alongside saying he has yet to speak with Hassan, Kojima shared some words of advice for the director and encouraged him to let his work do the talking. I don't think there's much he can do or say at this point, but if he releases the game, then people might understand, Kojima said. So maybe he should just hurry up and release it? It will die down after that. Plus, I'm not involved with it in any way. I don't know who started this rumor, but I think this is fake news based off of users' wishes and hopes.
Fantastic.
What?
Thank you so much, Amelie. Thank you. We appreciate you.
I came all the way to San Francisco. I came all the way to San Francisco to find someone to talk about Bayonetta 3 with.
Listen,
The journey continues.
Listen, for you, I will finish Bayonetta 3. I will finish Bayonetta 3.
Please.
I'm making the promise now.
Please, and then message me immediately.
Okay, I got you.
Oh, man, I
Of
love
course,
it here.
you can
I love
catch
it here.
Ollie playing some League of Legends right after this episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily.
Exactly. And also, I love that worked out that I didn't need to read the story. This is fantastic.
But again, Tim, I think you're digging your own grave. You're gonna read another story in 3 weeks.
Oh, man, I don't know. We'll find a way. I'll find a way.
I mean, now that Kojima's not connected to it, there is absolutely no reason for us to recover Abandoned on the show ever
That is
again.
true. You know what?
I'm not going to curse this.
I ain't gonna say shit.
Yeah.
We're moving on to the next story.
Let's
Bless.
move on.
Marvel Snap is getting its PvP mode later this year. Let's go. This comes from Logan Plant at IGN. Marvel Snap is quickly becoming one of the biggest hits of 2022, earning over $2 million in its first week. The collectible card game is already a huge success, and the developers will soon add a highly anticipated feature, playing against friends. A Marvel Snap spokesperson told the Washington Post that the game's friend-centric battle mode is coming before the end of 2022. According to a development roadmap, battle mode against friends will work slightly differently than Snap's primary ranked mode. In ranked Marvel Snap matches, you play against random players of similar skill, moving you up and down the ladder depending on if you win or lose. In battle mode versus friends, Snap implements a health system where each player starts with 10 health and the winning player deals damage to their opponent equal to the stakes of the game. Using the Snap mechanic doubles the damage you'll do to your opponent. Players will compete in a series of games with the same deck until one player runs out of health. I can't wait for this. I am going to play against Gia, and I'm going to beat her ass.
Goddamn.
In Marvel Snap.
Goddamn.
I'm not going to go
Jesus.
easy at all. I'm not going to go easy, dude. I'm using Onslaught. I'm using Iron Man. She ain't going to know what's coming,
How
man.
hardcore is Gia into Marvel Snap?
Dude, she is in.
Okay.
She's doing dailies 3 times a day.
Okay,
She's,
then
like,
okay.
on
Because for a
this
second,
shit.
I thought you're like, I assumed Gio was like maybe like slightly into it because you're into it, and I was like, yo, you're gonna beat up on. You had the choice of fighting Greg, you had the choice of fighting like, I play Marvel Snap. You could have fought me. You could have fought Alfredo because he's deeply into Marvel Snap. You're like, I'm gonna beat Gia's ass.
No. I've been
in
training
Marvel
her,
Snap.
and like, it's gonna be one of those like, it's gonna be a Karate Kid 3 situation. And if you know what I'm
Goddamn.
talking about, like, I don't actually mean that, but
Jesus Christ.
This is an awesome way to do it too, because this keeps people in the battle for longer, right? The fact that it is a series of multiple games that you're playing back to back and you're trying to knock down their health, right? I think that kind of fixes I'm sure the challenge of Marvel Snap games last like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So is it I'm playing against a friend and I'm playing for 3 minutes and then I rematch up and then I rematch up over and over again. The fact that they found a way to extend it to make it an actual engaging experience for longer when you want to play against friends, very smart. And yeah, I cannot wait for this. This sounds awesome.
it's super cool, man. Are you still playing?
Like I do a few matches a day. It's the thing of review season has caught up to me, and so I'm all over the place in terms of the games I'm playing and the things I'm doing. But when I get the chance, whenever I've not turned off the notifications on my phone because that is my alert to I'm booting this up now and I'm playing a match or two.
Yeah, dude, I'm still so in, and I'm
Hell yeah.
playing as much as I possibly can. But like I'm happy with how it distributes like kind of new stuff because it slows me down in the right way. Where like I've done all the things for the season pass, I'm well past the season pass at this point. So now I'm like I can chill. Like the min max stuff is like not really worth it right now for me. So I'm like I can kind of wait a week or two to go hard again. But now I'm excited for that.
Hell yeah.
Anyways, thank you, Barrett, for bringing this up. This is real.
Oh my God.
Trying to watch Bachelor in Paradise, and she's just not paying attention.
Wow.
And I'm like,
That's how you know it's real.
That's how
She's
it's
not
real.
watching Bachelor in Paradise. Jeez.
So it's a whole thing. Anyways, moving on to story number 6. Oh my lord. Oh God. Why do you do this to me, Blessing? I blame you.
It's
I
the
blame
news.
you.
It's the news. You know, you got to report the news.
Square Enix has announced a playable NFT collectible art experience. This comes from Chris Scullion at IGN. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually kind of happy that we're talking about this news story today because I saw this news break yesterday and I was like, I'm so bummed that I'm not going to be able to say some of these words. Square Enix has announced a new franchise built around NFTs. Symbiogenesis. Symbiogenesis.
Oh, God.
Is described by the company as its first digital collectible art project designed from the ground up for Web3 fans. According to Square Enix, Symbiogenesis is set in a self-contained world where a wide cast of characters symbiosis, all of which can be collected as digital art. That's a sentence. I didn't misread that. That's what it says.
Yep.
That's what it says, everybody. It promises to offer an interactive story and a dedicated community. How do you promise a dedicated community, you fucks?
As you read the story, just pay attention to the buzzwords they're using and how nondescript they are. An
Oh,
interactive
God.
story.
Y'all, it gets better. The quote-unquote art. They actually put quotes around art.
Like they don't even believe it
They
themselves.
don't even fucking believe it. They don't believe it. The art collected by players can be used as a character in a story that takes place in an alternate world where the player can untangle a Why is untangle in quotes within the quotes?
Because you gotta think deeply, Tim. All right.
What?
It's all. Listen, you're looking at it all service level because you're one of those basic plebes out there that isn't plugged into the Web3. All right. Let me tell you about NFTs. All right. You gotta untangle the mystery, Tim. Let me tell you. I got a Symbio NFT that's worth $50,000 right now. Is that thing gonna plummet tomorrow? I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know. I'm gonna keep it though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep it.
community's
Somehow
dedicated.
Sonic is not the worst thing about you right now.
Oh man, I'm gonna make
All
so
right,
much
hold on.
money
I
off
need
the
to-
Symbiogenesis.
I need to reread this, and I need y'all to understand the words that I'm looking at and how they are being portrayed to me. All right? The quote art, end quote, collected by players can be used, open quotes, as a character in a story that takes place in an alternate world where the player can, new quotes, untangle, undo quotes, a mystery by completing missions that revolve around questions of the monopolization and distribution of resources, end quote.
Listen, if there's anything that gamers like, if there's any subject matter that gamers want to participate in their video games, it's monopolization in the distribution of resources. That gets me going. Tim. It's Norse mythology, right? It's Norse mythology. It's all the shit they got going on in Nier Automata, and then it's monopolization and the distribution of resources.
Well,
Those are my
bless.
3 favorite genres right there.
They're saying use capitalism to fight capitalism. What the fuck are you even saying, Square Enix?
Now,
Come on.
Hold on, Barrett. You should, open your heart and open your mind a little bit. If the monopolization and distribution of resources isn't your thing, it can also be used as a social media profile picture.
Exactly.
Square Enix says the sales of the Symbiogenesis NFTs will begin in spring 2023 alongside a, quote, free browser service.
Listen.
What does that mean? You're going to compete with
Tim.
Firefox?
Plus, we broke Tim.
With Google Chrome?
I should not have given them the Red Bull plus the coffee.
What the actual... I'm so mad about this, dude. When Square Enix came out and they're just like, yo, we're going to put out a Final Fantasy fighting game. What are you going to call it? Dissidia. And it's like, what the hell? That's a weird name. And they're like, what's the sequel going to be? Dissidia Duodecum Prologus. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Kingdom Hearts, do I even need to get into all that shit? No, I don't. You know what I'm talking about. Of course Square Enix is going to come out with NFTs and call it Symbiogenesis.
Here's the silver lining on all this, right? Because there's a silver lining. When this was first being rumored/reported, there was like a trademark for Symbiogenesis, which I want to say is connected to Parasite Eve, So a lot of people were like, oh, okay, they're doing a
God
Parasite
damn
Eve
it.
thing. Like, they're doing a Parasite Eve game. This could have been Parasite Eve NFT, the game, or whatever, the thing. This could have been the reboot to Parasite Eve. Thank God they're doing it with, like, some weird other thing, right? It's not actually connected. Unless it is. Unless, like, this ends up being like, oh, yeah, and also it is the Parasite Eve you know and love. Then it's like, oh, okay, we're really fucked here. But, yeah, this is going to come out. It's probably going to fail or, appeal to the audience that is into NFTs and then wither away and then fall with the rest of the NFT market once everything collapses in that. We'll have to see, though. We'll have to see.
We'll have to, quote unquote,
No fucking
see.
thanks. No fucking thanks, NFTs.
Story number 7. It's a little PSA for you. All right? Y'all need to stay safe out there. Spoilers for the biggest game of the year have begun to leak. Sonic Frontiers. Sonic Frontiers is nearly here, and as has seemed to become commonplace these days, spoilers have began to leak ahead of its November 8th release date, thanks to early copies being out in the wild. This here is a PSA to run as fast as the blue blur away from them. While we won't link them here, as we don't want to spoil any of Sonic Frontiers for you, there are already users streaming Sonic Frontiers on Twitch. And recent era threads have already popped up with long videos of the game in action. Many of these are being quickly taken down by Sega, but, my friends, the dangers of spoilers have officially arrived. So if you're trying to be safe out there, I'd suggest you mute all the words.
It was already scary out there with God of War Ragnarok spoilers being out there, but now the real spoilers are out there with the Sonic Frontiers copies being out there. So stay safe, mute all the words. There was Knuckles, the prologue happened, so mute Knuckles, mute Sonic.
If you heard anything that Knuckles is doing that sounds unsavory, don't repeat it.
Don't repeat it out there. Mute all the words.
I got spoiled this morning. The first clip I saw on YouTube was a clip of Sonic walking.
You got to mute the words. Sonic.
I thought Barrett was about to say, I got spoiled that I learned that when someone fucks Knuckles fucks back.
Stay safe out there, beloved.
Wow. Well, if Knuckles fucks back, the answer to that question, bless, we might not ever know. But if I want to know what's coming to mom and pop shops today, where would it
Nick Scarpino laughing in the background has no idea what the fuck we're talking about on this show right now. You can go to the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday. Yeah. Oh, man. I love this show.
There's a Friday energy, and I absolutely love it. Today we got Demon Throttle on Switch. We got Harvestella. Oh, Harvestella is finally out on Switch and PC.
Let's go.
It Takes Two's on Switch. Humankind on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series. Bratz Flaunt Your Fashion on everything.
You laugh. Raj Bricorni
Requested a code
and genuinely told me yesterday that, no, this is a big deal. There's not been a Bratz game in over a decade, is what he said.
Okay, he said it seriously because he knows he's a meme of a person.
No, but he was saying that Lianza, his partner, is very excited for this Bratz game because there's not been a Bratz game in over a decade.
This is a big deal because there hasn't been one in over a decade.
And apparently Bratz games are really important. I didn't know this. I learned all of this from Roger Bricorni. And so you got a few big games coming out this month. You got God of War Ragnarok, you got Sonic Frontiers, you got The Devil Inside Pokemon, you got Bratz. Flaunt your fashion.
Next up, we have Goddess of Victory Nikkei on mobile. We have the Nintendo Switch OLED model Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Edition. And we have Her Loss by Drake and 21 Savage.
Let's go. I was listening to that this morning. Let me tell you, it's definitely a Drake and 21 Savage album.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fine.
It's fine.
It might be better than fine. I gotta let it digest. There's some bars in one of the songs.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have time to look up the actual song.
Cool Greg, this is totally unrelated, but Cool Greg showed me. I don't even want to say it's a new song. I think it was like 6 months old by Lotto called Booty. Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's a fucking banger.
Oh, okay. I gotta check that. I've been listening to this artist named Dochi. Dochi's fire.
Wait.
You been listening to Dochi?
Oh, yeah.
Bro, Dochi's fucking great.
I fucking love her, dude.
I went on a bender listening to Dochi the other day.
The one song that went viral like a year ago or whatever.
Yeah.
Where she's
My
like,
name's Dochi with 2 eyes. Yes. That's my shit right there, bro.
oh my god, dude, my heart. The palpitations are happening.
I'm so sorry for giving you that Red Bull. It was a mistake. I'm never going to do it ever again.
It was Sonic. Sonic did this to me. New dates for you.
He says it to all of us.
Die by the Blade has been delayed until 2023. Aspire 2 sneaks its way into MetaQuest on November 17th. Godzilla joins a Gigabash on December 9th. And the Sunshine Shuffle is releasing on Steam December 6th. Deals of the day. This is a cool one. More Ratchet & Clank games coming to PS Plus Premium on November 15th. You're getting Ratchet & Clank on PS3, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal, Deadlocked, and Tools of Destruction.
Hell yeah.
So my question for both of you is, why wasn't it there in the first place?
It's a really
they
good
got it
question.
Why weren't these games here in the first place? They
Why
were
weren't
on
they
the old
there?
service.
Well, at PlayStation tweeted out this morning, today we're celebrating 20 years of travel across space, time, and dimensions with Ratchet & Clank. Details on the anniversary armor pack for Rift Apart and classic games from the series are coming to PS Plus Premium. Barrett, when this service launched, was it the 20th anniversary? Was it the 20th anniversary in
June?
June?
Already had those games. I think, except maybe for Ratchet & Clank, the PS3 version, but...
Barrett, how are they going to give you the games if the games are already... You got to think about it, Barrett. All right?
Barrett,
You got to think about
is
it.
asking, why is this out today? Why is this an out today? It's not an out today. It's in deals of the day. That will be upcoming, Kebabs. Listen.
This is why I delete all...
Listen,
God damn,
Kebabs.
that Red Bull was hitting too.
I'm really concerned. He has like 3 other shows to do today.
I got 3 shows, motherfuckers. Oh, man.
It's Tim Ragnarok.
Tim Ragnarok, everybody.
He's
Jesus
back.
Christ. What did we get wrong? Let's see. Nanobiologist writes in and says Outlast launched on PC in 2013. PT came out in 2014. Oh, my Lord.
Whoa, you reading the same one I'm reading?
I am. And, like, you know what? I'm going to read it. I have to do it, Bless. I really have to. Bander SN writes in and says echidnas, which Knuckles is, actually have 4-tipped penises. Scientists call it the weirdest dick in the animal kingdom. So Knuckles, in fact, fucks back.
What did I try to tell y'all? All right? I kept telling you, you fuck with Knuckles, he fucks back. We got proof.
Jesus Christ.
We got proof.
Next week's host, we got Greg and me on Monday. We got Greg and Bless on Tuesday. We got Bless and Greg on Wednesday. Bless and me on Thursday. And me and Bless on Friday. If you're watching live, after this is a League of Legends stream. That's a little weird for kind of funny. You might want to check that out and see what fun surprises we have. You know, one of the surprises is Aubely. She's playing. That's cool. I don't know. She'll be there.
Mike is going to go pro, I hear.
Mike's going pro. He's going to do it. He's going to Worlds. But until next time, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for having fun.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast. Until next time. Pleasure to serve you. Bye.